Good afternoon. This is Akashvani and I'm Anuja Kumar with the midday news. The headlines. At least 36 passengers killed, 15 injured as bus falls into trench in Almora district of Uttarakhand. President and Prime Minister express grief. Campaigning for assembly elections gaining momentum in Jharkhand and Maharashtra, senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi address election rally at Garhwa in Jharkhand. Union Minister Pralhad Joshi says India has reached 90 gigawatts of installed solar capacity as 7th session of International Solar Alliance gets underway in New Delhi. US gears up for presidential election tomorrow. Republican nominee Donald Trump and Democratic leader Kamala Harris face off in fierce battle for presidency. Benchmark equity indices plunge over 1.5% as investors turn cautious ahead of US Fed meeting. And in table tennis, India's Harmeet Desai clinches dual titles at WTT Feeder Caracas in Venezuela. And now the news in detail. In Uttarakhand, a tragic accident occurred this morning in the Salt area of Almora district when a bus plunged into a deep gorge at Kupi, claiming lives of 36 people and injuring 19 others. More from our correspondent.
An ill-fated bus reportedly travelling from Pauri Naini Danda to Ramnagar with 55 passengers on board met with an accident this morning, leading to a death of 36 passengers. Intensive relief and rescue operations are ongoing. Teams from NDRF, SDRF, police and local authorities are actively carrying out rescue operations at the site. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, State Governor Gurmeet Singh and Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami expressed deep sorrow over the tragic loss of life. Chief Minister has instructed the authorities to arrange airlifting for critically injured individuals.
मरचूला रामनगर के पास अल्मोड़ा जनपद में बहुत ही दुखद घटना घटी है। सभी घायलों को तत्काल स्वास्थ्य सुविधाएं मिले, उपचार मिले, उसके लिए सभी एम्बुलेंस इत्यादि की व्यवस्था तत्काल वहां पर की जा रही है। सभी अफसरों को मौके पर जाने के निर्देश दिए हैं और इस पूरी घटना के लिए कुमाऊं कमिश्नर को मजिस्ट्रियल जांच के आदेश दिए हैं और संबंधित विभाग के लोगों को निलंबित करने के भी आदेश दिए हैं जो भी इस घटना से संबंधित हैं। कहीं भी कोई लापरवाही होगी तो उसके खिलाफ सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी.
He has also directed the suspension of the ARTO of the concerned area in Pauri and Almora. The Prime Minister has announced an ex gratia of rupees 2 lakhs from the PM Relief Fund for the next of kin of each deceased in the mishap. Sakshi Singh, Akashvani News, Dehradun.
President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have expressed grief over the tragic bus accident in Almora, Uttarakhand. In a social media post, the President expressed her deepest condolences to the bereaved families and prayed for the speedy recovery of those injured. The Prime Minister also paid condolences to those who lost their loved ones in the road accident. Mr. Modi wished for the speedy recovery of all injured. The Prime Minister has announced an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees from Prime Minister's National Relief Fund for the next of kin of each deceased. The injured would be given 50,000 rupees. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi alleged the Hemant Soren-led government of cheating the people of Jharkhand during their 5-year term. Addressing the election meeting at Chetna Maidan in Garhwa, Mr. Modi said the JMM, the Congress and the RJD made false promises. The Prime Minister exhorted people to vote for the Bharatiya Janata Party for a double-engine government in Jharkhand to double the pace of its progress.
हम ईमानदारी से झारखंड के विकास की हर कोशिश पूरी ताकत से काम कर रहे हैं। जब यहां आप डबल इंजन की सरकार बनाएंगे तो राज्य का विकास भी डबल तेजी से होने लगेगा। भाजपा झारखंड की सुविधा, सुरक्षा, स्थिरता और समृद्धि की गारंटी के साथ चुनावी मैदान में उतरी है।
The Prime Minister said that Bharatiya Janata Party has entered the electoral fray with a guarantee of security, stability and prosperity of Jharkhand. Jharkhand BJP President and former Chief Minister Babulal Marandi said the Prime Minister will also address the second public meeting in Chaibasa this afternoon. On the last day for withdrawing nominations for the Maharashtra Assembly elections, political activities are peaking across the state. Both key alliances, the ruling Mahayuti and the opposition Mahavikas Aghadi, are trying to pacify their rebel candidates and convince them to withdraw their nominations. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
Rebel BJP leader Gopal Shetty, who filed his nomination from the Borivali constituency as an independent, has now withdrawn his application. Shiv Sena's candidate from Mahim, Sada Sarvankar, has expressed his willingness to discuss his candidacy against Maharashtra Navnirman Sena's candidate and party supremo Raj Thakre's son Amit Thakre on the condition that the MNS withdraws its candidates fielded against Mahayuti, especially the Shiv Sena in Mumbai. Maratha quota leader Manoj Zarange has instructed all his candidates to withdraw their nominations. In Nanded district, 21 nomination forms have been withdrawn so far across 3 assembly constituencies. Meanwhile, acting on the complaints from the Congress and other parties, the Election Commission has ordered the transfer of Maharashtra DGP Rashmi Shukla. The Chief Secretary has also been directed to send a panel of 3 IPS officers by tomorrow for the appointment of a new DGP for Maharashtra. In the meantime, Mumbai Police Commissioner Vivek Phansarkar has been given the additional charge of DGP Maharashtra. Ankita Apte, Akashvani News, Mumbai.
In Jammu and Kashmir, the first session of the newly constituted Legislative Assembly of the Union Territory began today in Srinagar. The session is being held for 5 days. Addressing the session, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha said the people now look up to the government with many hopes and aspirations. Mr. Sinha mentioned that the aspiration to return to statehood remains strong and that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has on several occasions expressed his commitment to restoring statehood. National Conference leader Abdul Rahim Rather was elected as the Speaker of the House unanimously. The Speaker asked the legislators to make the session productive and meaningful by addressing matters that help mitigate the issues of the common masses. Earlier, the House witnessed noisy scenes as the legislators of the Bharatiya Janata Party held a strong protest against a written resolution brought by the MLAs of the People's Democratic Party opposing the abrogation of Article 370. This is Akashvani giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our X handle at AIR News Alerts. And for details of stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and download News on AIR app.
सुनो सुनो पेंशनर सुनो, जीवन का प्रमाण बनो, हाथ में मोबाइल ले लो, चेहरे का पहचान ले लो। आसान है, इजी है, ऐप इसकी क्रेजी है, आपकी ही मर्जी है, अपना लो ये अर्जी है। फेस का ऑथेंटिकेशन, लाइफ का वेरिफिकेशन, देना ही है कंपल्शन, कर दिया सिंप्लीफिकेशन। कहीं जाने की जरूरत कहाँ, फेस ऑथेंटिकेशन जहाँ, फिर भी जाने की जरूरत जहाँ, डीएलसी के कैंप वहाँ। कभी जाने की जरूरत कहाँ, DOTPW जहाँ, हम लोगों का पहल अनोखा, बदला भारत कर धमाका।
Welcome back to Midday News on Akashvani. New and Renewable Energy Minister Pralhad Joshi today said that India has reached 90 gigawatts of installed solar capacity in its goal to attain 500 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030. Mr. Joshi was addressing the inaugural ceremony of the 7th session of the International Solar Alliance, ISA, in New Delhi. The minister said the government has approved 50 solar parks with a renewable capacity of 37.5 gigawatts. He also added that this year, the global solar sector is set to reach approximately 2 terawatts of installed solar photovoltaic capacity.
Solar energy, once just a vision, is now a powerful reality, leading the world toward a cleaner and more sustainable path. The progress we have made together is undeniable, and the true potential of solar energy is unfolding, showing us just how transformative it can be. In 2024, the global solar sector is set to reach approximately 2 terawatt of the installed solar photovoltaic capacity. This marks an extraordinary leap from just a decade ago when solar was still considered a small segment with the global energy markets.
This year, the ISA is being held under the Presidency of India and the co-presidency of France. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar formally inaugurated the new Consulate General of India at Brisbane in Australia today. On the occasion, Dr. Jaishankar said that the consulate will contribute to strengthening India's ties with Queensland, promoting trade, fostering educational linkages, and serving the diaspora. He termed the inauguration a landmark milestone in the increasingly strong bilateral relationship between India and Australia.
Today is a landmark moment and certainly a milestone in our increasingly strong bilateral relationship. It is an acknowledgement as well of growing importance of the state of Queensland, which holds such an important place in many ways in our burgeoning ties.
The minister also met the Governor of Queensland, Dr. Janet Young. During the meeting, both leaders discussed opportunities and ways to strengthen the economic, trade and investment cooperation between India and Queensland. The US will vote tomorrow to elect its 47th president in a fierce race between Republican nominee Donald Trump and Democratic leader Kamala Harris. This election is expected to be one of the closest contests for the White House in decades. Both candidates have left no stone unturned to win over the voters, particularly in key swing states. The latest opinion polls indicate that the outcome will be decided by results in 7 battleground states of Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. More from a correspondent.
Republican candidate and former President Donald Trump rallied in Kinston, North Carolina and targeted his opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Everything Kamala says is a lie. She has no vision, no ideas. She has no solutions for anything.
On the other hand, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris vowed to end the ongoing war in Gaza.
This year has been difficult, given the scale of death and destruction in Gaza, and given the civilian casualties and displacement in Lebanon. It is devastating. And as president, I will do everything in my power to end the war in Gaza.
She made these remarks while addressing an election rally in Michigan. During her rally, Harris also emphasized the need for a new generation of leadership in America, vowing to fight for the people and make healthcare a right, not a privilege. Ankit Kumar, Akashvani News, Delhi.
Domestic benchmark equity indices Sensex and Nifty plunged over 1.5% today due to a sell-off in banking, financial and IT stocks as caution prevailed among investors ahead of the US presidential election and Federal Reserve's meeting this week. The 30-share BSE Sensex tanked 1,291 points or 1.62% to 78,433 points, while the NSE Nifty 50 declined 427 points or 1.76%, falling below the 24,000 level to 23,877 points when reports last came in. On to sports. In table tennis, India's Harmeet Desai has clinched dual titles at the WTT Feeder Caracas in Venezuela, winning both the men's singles and mixed doubles events. In men's singles final, Desai defeated France's Joe Seyfried 3-0, following a close semi-final win over Portugal's João Monteiro, while in mixed doubles, Desai and his partner Kritwika Roy edged past Cuba's Jorge Campos and Daniela Fonseca Carazana in a tight 3-2 final. Earlier, they defeated China's Wang Kaibo and Liu Xinran in straight sets to reach the final. Indian player Snehit Surajavajula made it to the semi-finals, ultimately falling to Seyfried after a strong quarter-final victory against Campos. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. At least 36 passengers killed, 15 injured as bus falls into trench in Almora district of Uttarakhand. President and Prime Minister express grief. Campaigning for assembly elections gaining momentum in Jharkhand and Maharashtra, senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses election rally at Garhwa in Jharkhand. Union Minister Pralhad Joshi says India has reached 90 gigawatts of installed solar capacity as 7th session of International Solar Alliance gets underway in New Delhi. US gears up for presidential election tomorrow. Republican nominee Donald Trump and Democratic leader Kamala Harris face off in fierce battle for presidency. Benchmark equity indices plunge over 1.5% as investors turn cautious ahead of US Fed meeting. And in table tennis, India's Harmeet Desai clinches dual titles at WTT Feeder Caracas in Venezuela. And with that, we end the midday news.